I met my bar crush after 4.5 years. Non-fiction. Sorry if I have a couple of mistakes, English is not my first language. In the summer of 2019 me, back then 18M, and a couple of friends went to a bar to celebrate our high school graduation. You can drink legally from the age of 16 in my country. At the table next to us were some girls celebrating a birthday of a friend. We didn't really care about that until a friend of us joined them. After another hour people from both parties started to leave and those who stayed merged together to play some drinking games. That was the first time I saw her. It felt like the time was slowing down. After a couple of minutes we started talking and we clicked right away. She wasn't from my area and just came because her friend moved here because of university. When her friends wanted to leave I asked for her number. She gave me her number and left the bar. I didn't want to text her right away so I don't seem clingy. When I texted her the next morning I got no response. I waited and waited but still no response. I was heartbroken because I had the feeling that the feelings were mutual. Today in 2024, now 22, I got on a plane to fly to a job interview after graduating from university. At first I thought I would have a row to myself, but shortly before departing 2 women boarded the plane and sat down next to me. We started talking and got to know each other a bit and figured to share an Uber when we arrive at our destination because WHE had to go to the same general area. When we arrived at her apartment complex a girl just left the building. As soon as I saw her I knew it was her from the bar back then. I don't know why, but before I could think I was out of the car and started talking to her. As it turned out it was actually her and my dumbass mixed up the numbers back then. She thought I lost interest after not texting her. Today after my interview we are going on a date. It's the most surreal thing that ever happened to me. Story 2. My mom is dating someone my age. Venting. I am a 21-year-old female currently staying with my mom that is 38. She's been seeing this boy I went to school with. He's 20 to 21. What makes it worse is he used to bully me. I even spoke to her about this and she thought it was hilarious. She immediately picked up her phone and texted him saying is so upset because the guy that used to make fun of her is screwing her mom, just thinking it was the funniest thing. She wasn't even concerned to ask what he used to do/say to me. They've only been seeing each other for about 2 weeks now and he has her birthday tattooed on his face. It's super strange to me. I recently started seeing someone myself and he's older than my mom's little boyfriend. It's so weird seeing them being all lovey-dovey. I feel like I'm witnessing a crime. I just had to write about this. I guess let me know your opinions. Story 3. 3 months. That will forever change me. Venting. My life changed completely in December 27, 2022. I was sick for the days leading up to Christmas. It seemed like the flu, so nothing was thought of it. I spent my Christmas Eve and Christmas Day sleepless, throwing up, and feeling horrible. My parents brought me to a close doctor office that was actually open on the 26th. The doctor office found nothing wrong with me and just sent me off with some nausea medicine, and that was it. I arrive home feeling just as bad as I was before, maybe even worse. The day goes on still being in agonizing pain, completely sleepless, and constantly throwing up. The 27th rolls around, my parents realize it isn't getting any better, so they take me to our primary doctor's office. We get seen pretty quickly. The whole time I'm feeling like I'm gonna pass out. Once our doctor sees me she's like, we need to check vitals stat. She checks vitals and they're not looking good at all. I don't know what they were at the time. She immediately calls for an ambulance. I get loaded in and taken to a hospital maybe an hour or so away, though it felt like ages. When we get there I get given medicine and fall asleep. The doctors saw I had rhinovirus, the OG coronavirus, and toxic shock that led to sepsis. And all my organs were failing. They transferred me to a better hospital that ended up putting me on the ECMO machine. It makes majority of your blood go to your main organs instead of your limbs, causing them to go black and lose blood flow. which caused me to flatline twice, basically dying. During the time of that, a lot of things happened that I don't fully know at the moment. I'm sorry, I just wanted to share it whether there were bits and pieces missing or not. It took me to end of January, beginning of February to wake up. For a while I wasn't able to move anything. Thanks for watching. And ended up getting stories for you for daily Reddit stories. And almost dying / actually dying from contrast from a CT scan. Thanks to a really good physical, occupational, and speech therapist team, I was able to slightly walk before they had to amputate 3/4 THs of my foot, due to it not getting better from the ECMO machine. I got a cast and progress with walking had to stop. It took a while and I eventually got out of the hospital. It was in April 27th, 3 months exactly. I go through trying to learn to walk, do things that I used to all over again. I forgot to mention, but I had a skin graft in April from my left thigh to my left foot, causing me to have another cast. It took a bit, but it finally came off. In August 22nd, I had to have a blood clot surgery to try to take it and remove it, but they needed contrast, so I had to go a day before to make sure they wouldn't send me into anaphylactic shock again. They go into the surgery and find out it was calcified, and so the blood cells moved around it and created another way around it. In September 22nd, I had surgery on both ankles cause in the hospital. They dropped and were not 90 degrees, so I was in casts for a while. Everything else went fine for the rest of the year. I started back to school in January and continued with everything. Until February 14th, Valentine's Day. My foot wasn't healing properly and they had to go in and had to clean it and graft some more skin. I'm in a cast for 6 weeks and I'll go back to walking normally, hopefully, crossed fingers. Thank you for reading if you actually read this far. Also, I'm sorry it was all over the place. Story 4. My sister makes me a better person. Non-fiction. A bit back, I was sitting at home while doing some work on my laptop. I had some coffee next to me, the TV playing some sitcom I seen at least 10 times already, and life was good. It was getting late, but I found myself in a groove, so I kept going. My happy moment was unexpectedly interrupted because I suddenly smelled something foul. Perhaps foul isn't the right word because it was straight up rancid. It was one of the worst things I ever smelled before. My roommate and I split the bill in a house we rent on the outskirts of town. My roommate needed a house because he has a medium-sized dog named Dino. Dino is a cute German Shepherd and Rottweiler mix. I think he had his testicles removed at a young age because although those two breeds can be a dangerous combination, he is extremely docile and his mouth is pretty small. It's my roommate's dog, but I couldn't help but start to like the little fellow. When eating some food, he would literally stare at you with his sad eyes until you caved and gave him some. Sometimes he would lay outside my bedroom door until I let him in. He would do this just to be close to me. Every day upon returning home, he had a big smile on his face as I opened the door. Also, sometimes as I'm standing, he would walk between my legs and stay there. It was his way of begging me to pet him. He is literally the sweetest dog you will ever meet. Taking this back to the original story, I started to investigate where this nasty smell was coming from. I opened my bedroom door and my roommate was there with Dino. The smell was extremely pungent. He says, "I think Dino was outside and got sprayed by a skunk." "Do you need my help with anything?" I replied. "No, Dino is my responsibility. I'll handle it." He proceeded to take Dino to the bathroom in order to bathe him. All the while I heard my roommate gagging. I decided then that I was done working for the night. I open my window, light a few candles, put tape Arcus the lining of my door and shove a towel underneath the bottom gap. As I tried to get some sleep, a silly scenario ran in my head of how Dino may have gotten sprayed. With me thinking about it, I couldn't help but start laughing. A few states away, I have a woman whom I call sister. It's hard to explain, but although we aren't related, we feel a deep connection with each other. Perhaps in another life we were siblings or lovers, but the age gap is far too much for us to be anything else now. For a bit, we had this habit of talking to each other in the morning. As I'm falling asleep, my excitement builds for me to tell her about Dino later. The following morning, I tell my sister the story. So I was working last night and my roommate's dog got sprayed by a skunk. It stunk like hell. Oh, poor Dino. She replied. Yes, it's sad. But I couldn't help but find the situation a little funny. Somehow I could feel the tension coming from Line. There's a little bit of a pause and then she says very slowly, elaborate, please. I noticed a while ago that she has a soft spot for animals, so this was touchy for her. Well, in my head I imagined the whole scene play out. Dino is outside and sees the skunk. His friendly side comes out and he approaches. Him saying to the skunk, hey buddy, let's be friends. The skunk looks at him, his eyes sizing Dino up, then he shifts his head away and says in a French accent, HMMMPPH. I don't befriend dogs. Be gone. Dino of course presses the situation. Him with a big smile on his face and tail wagging. He says, come on buddy, let's be friends. The skunk get incredibly angry and shouts at Dino, I said begone. Now take this. Then of course Dino gets sprayed. I hear my sister chuckling over the line and she says you are a little devil sometimes, but that is funny. My lord, it sounds so possible. I then say most likely they got into a little skirmish or perhaps Dino startled him. But I like my personification better. It's a little sad right now. He is sitting there on his doggy bed and my roommate and I are avoiding touching him. My roommate loves Dino and he will likely figure something out after work to kill the smell. However, he can't get any more smelly before work. I can tell Dino is blue. But hey, at least we got a lesson out of it. Leave skunks alone. Especially the French ones. The line is then quiet for a bit. My sister clears her throat and says, friend, I think you should be the bigger man and pet Dino. Please, friend. At this moment I'm thinking this woman is out of her mind. I then say, what, and then I have to walk around with a stinky hand the rest of the day. She responds with a mild shout. Yes. Wash it off with tomato sauce. He is lonely, sad and confused. He doesn't understand the rejection. I stay quiet for a bit and then sigh. In a softer voice she says, please. I take another breath and say, check this out. I have some leftover chicken in the refrigerator. I will feed him a bit with one hand and using one finger, scratch him behind the ear with the opposite hand. That's it. Final offer. Thank you from me and Dino. She says triumphantly. I shake my head and hang up. As I was scratching Dino's head and feeding him the chicken, I reflected on the situation. One thought was just flowing through my mind on repeat. I'm thankful this woman is in my life. She definitely makes me a better person. But how the hell did I end up getting guilt-tripped from a woman 5 states away? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Stories for You for daily Reddit stories.